Today we're going to talk about what I personally think is going to be a really, really nasty hurricane season in 2024. And the experts are also predicting a really nasty hurricane season. And here's how their numbers are going to stack up against mine. The numbers shown in this graph are my thoughts, with 22 named storms, 11 hurricanes, and 6 majors with 205 ace points. It's below Joe Bastardi on the named storms, hurricanes, major hurricanes, but right in the range with the ace. The tropical storm risk is a little less than what I'm thinking, but with La Nina possibly coming on, but I'm expecting more of a negative neutral to La Nina, weak La Nina, and steering currents to be very dangerous, as most negative neutral to weak La Nina seasons tend to do, send things toward Florida or the southeast or into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. And that's something that people need to worry about, really. But I'm going to go into the reasoning behind why I'm going with such high numbers. The highest risk for landfall are in the areas around Florida, South Carolina, maybe up to Alabama, the Bahamas, and the Greater Antilles, and the Northern Lesser Antilles, due to the neutral conditions that are possibly going to happen and possibly weak La Nina, which tends to cause things to go through that area. So, but it's going to be a really nasty hurricane season, I reckon, but I'm not going to say it's going to be bad yet. I will give a better accordance later in the year, right around April 1st. But as of right now, it's going to be a nasty hurricane season, and people need to check their supplies and stuff. According to what is being thought, these are possible tracks for this year, and a lot of the tracks are going to start between 55 and 65 west and continue on into Florida, the Lesser Antilles, the Greater Antilles, and into the Gulf in some cases. I really think, though, that most of the activity will be west of 55 this year, coming up, and possibly be a real danger to land masses, especially Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. So that's what I'm thinking as far as possible tracks, due to we're going to be in a negative neutral to weak La Nina, which usually tends to cause those type of tracks. However, anything can happen in these hurricane seasons, and I'll show you a physical representation of what could happen. This is the CANCIFS model for August 2024, and it's showing basically similar track to what I'm showing in my tracks, and that's not good. That's not good at all. And I'm just hoping that something happens where this does not happen. And now we're going to talk about the current sea surface temperature anomalies. We have a strong El Nino going on in the Pacific right now, and we also have a strong AMO going on right now, which, if you look at the 2023 season, caused it to be a lot more active than a normal El Nino would be. And it really shut down the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, except for one system that went through there. But it shut down the 2023 season. Not going to be so for the 2024 season. It's going to have a very similar Atlantic, which is horrible, but I'm going to show you what it's going to happen in the Pacific. We're going to go into a negative neutral to a La Nina. As we can see here, we're going to quickly transition into a La Nina, possibly, or negative neutral, which is going to, with the same Atlantic as last year, going to cause mass chaos, possibly, and possibly even a few major hurricanes landfalling in Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, and the East Coast. And possibly the Lesser Antilles and Greater Antilles. But we're far from hurricane season, and these things could change. The Atlantic could cool. You never know. And slow the season down a little bit. But based on my negative neutral seasonal analogs and my weak La Nina analogs, Florida and the Gulf Coast really have to watch out, as it seems like the Bermuda High is going to set up a little bit stronger and further west this year, which will drive things through those regions. And yeah, that could get quite ugly. Another thing that does not look good is the fact that it looks like there's going to be a strong Western African monsoon, which leads to stronger tropical waves, which leads to tropical storms, hurricanes, and major hurricanes further west, which could be even worse news than one would think. You'd even get tropical systems to form right off of Africa, even though I'm not predicting many to do that. That could happen with a setup like this, and we need to really watch this as time goes by. Based on the sea surface temperature anomalies in the Atlantic and a possible weak La Nina or cold neutral will cause a strong hurricane season. Usually they do. And looking at the steering currents on the CAN-SIPs precipitation and the way things are going, it looks like Florida, Cuba, the Greater Antilles, the Lesser Antilles need to watch very carefully, and even the eastern Gulf of Mexico. So, and the Western African monsoon seems to be like it's going to be very strong and possibly even cause a big problem with storms forming even further east than I'm thinking. But with a strong Bermuda High further west this year, it could be very bad, as we have seen in the past. And that's all I'm going to say for now, and I will update this forecast in April, depending on what I see in the forecast. I might up my numbers, I might lower my numbers. We'll have to see, and please prepare for this hurricane season, because it could be a doozy.